A walk around the V8 Triumph TR4 Part 3. I've got some better lighting going now, and I'm going to try and just walk through the changes that I've made in the past year. The car's been on jack stands for a year now. So to begin with, you see here I've added a boss to the transmission pan so I can run an electric temperature gauge. I also added transmission oil cooler lines going up to the front, connecting to the radiator. They're the original Mustang II lines rebent to fit in the space here. I had a crack in this one. You can see I brazed over it, but somewhere else now it's leaking, and I hope I don't have to go back and replace that. Also, you've got a much better view of the exhaust this time. Due to the better lighting, you can see a 4 into 2 into 1 on each side. You can also see how the square tube frame joins the original Triumph frame. We have a visitor. Here's something else I changed. These brackets that hold up the side pipes were really starting to rust, and I got the rust off of them and much rounded the shape of them so they look a lot better. There's one here, and there's one there, and then of course on the other side of the car. I'm going to stand up now. Next, looking at the spin-on oil cooler, which I relocated here. I had a very short spin-on right on the block, but I wanted in the long run to have a standard PH8A type oil filter and in an easy to get to spot. So hoses come from an adapter on the other side under the front of the oil pan to the remote cooler here. Also, looking at the underneath, here's those transmission cooler lines and these very long Ford flare nuts. Now, if I have to make a new line due to the leakage, I'm not sure how I'm going to incorporate these flare nuts. There's our visitor again. Also in this view, you can get another look at the exhaust on each side. You can see the bright yellow hoses going to the engine oil filter. In this area, the stock Triumph would have a radiator shield, and I wanted to take one and modify it to cover all of this and protect it, but frankly I lost it. I found one on eBay and it's gone. Standing up once again, one of the first changes I made this go around was to change the location of this engine cooling fan, which you can see there, it's painted gray. Originally I had it dead center on the radiator, and I decided if I moved it down and towards the passenger side, I could someday add a second one here up high and on the driver's side, and they wouldn't overlap. In reflection, that was kind of a dubious project. I think the single fan in the center was probably adequate. Moving to the interior of the car, several changes since last time. Getting tangled in our extension cord here. After 20 years of owning this car, I realized I didn't have a set of seat rails or seat tracks. What the previous owner had done was to use late model Triumph seat tracks where the whole seat pivots forward at the front and welded tabs to the underside of the seats to match. That put the seats up pretty high. I couldn't find another set of stock early TR4 seat tracks, so I built this system where these metal strips bolt to the floor and they have metal studs sticking up. Then these spacers go over the studs and the seat sits down on the top of all of that. This turned out to be very complicated because the seat tracks are angled towards the center of the car and the bolt pattern of the seat is offset to match, so the seats go straight though the seat tracks are at an angle. Also, from this bolt to this bolt is not the same distance as from that bolt to that bolt. These spacers, I put holes in the underside to fit over the bolt heads, and the multiple holes, if I don't like where the seat's at, I can try another location forward and back. Maybe the most important change of all, I built this fiberglass tunnel. Now you might remember from earlier video, this square box shape that's painted primer is roughly a foot rearward located from where the stock Triumph would be. But this horseshoe shape is the stock shape, but it's 2 inches wider. And then the tunnel is commensurately shorter and wider. I made it out of a aftermarket fiberglass tunnel for a stock Triumph, cut it all up, glassed it back together, added the bulge here for the shift linkage. Thought I could run a Triumph shift boot here, but it turns out this shifter mostly moves forward and back where the Triumph shifter pivoted, so the Triumph boot couldn't accommodate that motion. I'm going to walk to the other side now. I haven't yet made a seat mounting arrangement for the passenger side, which will be totally different. The bolt pattern of the passenger seat is different than the bolt pattern of the driver's seat, so I'll have to start that again from scratch. Here's that tunnel again, along with the bulge on the other side for the shift linkage. I had to make this scallop shape to get my hand around the handbrake. Also, earlier, the battery was just sliding around on the floor. So I made this angle iron frame that's bolted to the floor, and then the plastic cover fits on the top of the battery. But when I remove this, you can see the battery is actually clamped down. These J-bolts, I guess that one's not tight, but these J-bolts hold this clamp down. So the battery's clamped down firmly, and then the plastic cover still fits over the top. It looks like my time is about up, and I think I've covered every subject. So hopefully in the next few days, well, next few weeks perhaps, I'll get this back down on the ground and make another driving video. Thank you.